All right, guys. Well, welcome back. Round two here. So, on the table and in the booth, we have Jarrod Ellenberger on the right, and we have a good time old friend here that we used to play with up in Youngstown area, Phill on the left there.
Yeah, for sure. Phil and I go back a long ways with him playing particularly this set of decks, these Tron decks. He and I have been playing these kind of matchups for years and years, and um, it's been, 50-50. The type of decks that I play have always been weak to Tron, but I tend to get a bit lucky against them as well. So we'll see if that holds true for this round.
Yeah, I was a little curious on what he was going to play, and I was not shocked. But he plays it so well, might as well, continue with it.
Mhm. And Phil off to a bit of a mulligan here to start things off. Not necessarily a bad sign for Tron. You're just looking for those lands, letting you cast some big Eldrazi here. So we'll see if his six treats him any better.
Yeah, this ramp deck has just been incredible, just very consistent, and I know that spawn or the mycosynth spawn has just been such a clutch card for this deck, and being able to blow up land while also ramping yourself, yeah, and being able to do this on turn two potentially, yeah, just an incredible card.
For sure. In the Eldrazi archetype, it's always been pretty straightforward that there was pretty much one correct way to play it. But I feel like with Modern Horizons 3 coming out, all the different types of Eldrazi, there's multiple ways you can go about it now. It's hard to sit down and know exactly what you're playing against here. Um, just because you see an Eldrazi land coming through doesn't mean you're not against some kind of combo deck or a large mana deck like Phil's running here, or the more mid rangey, large mid range that old Eldrazi were with Thought Not Seers and all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I miss
Uh,
those days. Thought Not, Reality Smasher, and just pump in with some big boys, but
for
a
sure.
little
A
different
lot
now.
of decks in modern not getting past a 5/5.
Yeah, I see that Psychic Frog in hand, so oh, getting hit with an early K command though.
Yeah, this is brutal for sure. I was glad to have an early threat um, against this Eldrazi deck, but that getting exiled and Phil continuing to advance his game plan of ramping at the same time is quite brutal. But like you mentioned, I do at least have a backup threat in my hand. So we'll see if that Psychic Frog's coming down here as I shock in a breeding pool. All three colors here represented as I am a Sultai deck, leaning heavily on my black spells. Um, and looks like we've got
Grim
a Grim
Flare.
Flare.
Oh, a little spice here from Jarrod.
Yep, Grim Flare is a card that has always had a soft spot in my heart. Being able to have that pseudo brainstorm effect anytime you're attacking and getting in for damage to be able to set up the top of your deck and continue to make sure you're enabling your delirium or put value cards into your graveyard. Definitely just makes for some interesting decisions on behalf of the Grim Flare player.
Yeah, and just kind of going back into that K command, I feel like that card has just truly carried and here we go again. Yeah, spoke a little soon on it, but has really just carried these decks. Currently, the card is just incredible, just busted.
Yeah, Phil absolutely brutalizing me here with it. And it gives these Tron and Eldrazi decks an angle to attack on that they never had previously. They have this kind of interaction that's not just some big planeswalker or some big payoff. This actually helps them to interact as they're getting to those payoffs, and helps to ramp them into them in these cases.
Yeah, it's just such a versatile card, and that's what we were kind of talking about. Like, it's just such a versatile piece and deck in general now compared to what it used to be, as it was very linear. But we see a Psychic Frog. We see a little. We're gonna take out one of the spawn, so just trying to take off of some of that mana.
Yeah, exactly. It's always a bit of a toss up there. Do you actually want to waste a whole card on one single token? But I did the math here, hoping to slow him down, keep him maybe at these uh, five, 5 or 6 mana sources as opposed to being up in the sevens. Um, so, especially with the Psychic Frog in play, it's like, oh, do I discard that Fatal Push to Psychic Frog to get in for extra damage, or try to slow him down here? So,
Oh, nice
um,
Karn here.
yep, for sure. Karn, a very well positioned card in the current metagame as well, with the artifact combo deck, the Teamer Breach deck. Karn shuts down their combo while also allowing you to go fetch a second hate piece for it, since they have the ability to usually get through one hate piece. Phill was telling me that was one of the main reasons that he's feeling good about the archetype at the moment.
Yeah, and Phill at this point was prepping for the RC down in Charlotte, so it was good for him to kind of see some of those meta decks and bringing down the Pithing Needle and the Frog. So great answer to that Frog.
Yep, for sure. And I did go ahead and discard a card to it prior to the Pithing Needle resolving, but that is going to stop me from being able to activate the flying ability on this frog here, unless I have some means of dealing with it.
Yeah, and with that Cavern of Souls, anything he's playing from this point probably getting through. I don't know how many. Are you heavy on the counters in main?
I have a couple of counters, but they're all focused on smaller creatures, so they don't line up well against Eldrazi here in game one. There's a couple of Stern Scoldings, a couple of Spell Snares, but nothing that really is focused on these larger creatures. It's really my idea behind it was trying to deal with some of the Boros creatures, some of the black white creatures before they enter the battlefield and give the value that so many of them have, was to deal with those while they're in your hand or on the stack.
And it looks like we were able to find that piece that Boseiju. Is that what that was? And getting rid of the Pithing Needle?
Yeah. Yep. So two main deck beside you. Again, there's so many powerful enchantments and artifacts floating around at the moment. Plus, you get the little bit of a hedge against some of these double mana producing lands. Um, Definitely something that's a little tough on the mana base, considering it's a mana base that's trying to do 3 black on turn 4 regularly while also having blue on turn 1.
Right.
Um, but it's definitely worth the risk there, given the versatility of the card.
Yeah.
Essentially, I'm playing the second one as just an extra land, uh, where I already have enough lands without it.
Right. And perfect timing, able to get that frog in, really kind of took back a little bit of control on that board.
Yeah, definitely important to be able to get that Karn off the board before he can go get another piece, another big payoff here to use some of this
And
mana
here we
on.
go.
And another Karn coming on down to let him go get one after all.
Yeah, and come on down, Karn. But at least no Pithing Needle.
Yep.
I,
A
I
mistake on my part there. I completely forgot to sacrifice the Mishra's Bauble with Karn on the stack. So Karn turned it into a creature with 0 power and 0 toughness, and it died from that.
early in the rounds, so still getting back into the swing of things.
For sure. And it has been a while since I played against Karn. Um, Definitely one that I need to remember to read all the text of.
Oh yeah, a lot of text, very heavy on that. And it looks like we've got the did we kick? Yes, okay.
Yep. Triple black with 4 mana, kicking the Turok and getting 2 random cards out of the hand there. So whatever Phil searched up is off to the graveyard, hopefully. It looks like he just had one card in hand. So I believe we're both empty-handed now. Just playing off the top, and I'm getting in with a frog at Karn and drawing a card here
Gotta love Psychic Frog.
for sure. Not a card I've had the pleasure of playing with too often, but every once in a while it's good to good to dust off some Grim Flares and some Psychic Frogs and get them into the red zone.
Okay, we've got
Karn creating another blocker here, turning that amulet or whatever the name of that card is into a 2/2.
okay, we got 2 cards engraved to be able to pitch the frog. Couple cards in hand.
Yep, and it looks like we're I don't even know the names of the cards in my own deck.
Cling to
Cling to
dust.
dust.
Yeah.
Yes, cling to dusting just to draw another card and get a third card into my graveyard. Like you mentioned, now I can fly over and try to finish off that Karn here.
Yeah, looks like we still got a little bit in hand with see a bobble there. Um, yeah, looks like we're in a pretty good spot if you were both top decking, and now we've got a little bit of some leeway.
Yeah, it's hard to top that well against Tron or Eldrazi. You know, they just have such big threats that the top of their deck is more powerful than the top of yours. Um, but with Psychic Frog giving me 2 draws to Phil's one, that's definitely helping to dig me through here.
Right, and we're gonna get another little draw off the bobble. I'm gonna check it out. And just something to point out for the viewers, the life is flip-flopped. So Jarrod is life on left, Phill life on right.
Yeah, I'm still at a bit of a loss on how we managed to do that throughout the game.
And it looks
I'm
like,
a,
as you talked about, first thing off the top, big beefy boy coming down.
Yeah, for sure. I can't remember the name of this Eldrazi, but it's the 7 theme Eldrazi with the 7 power, 7 toughness, 7 abilities, costing 7. And it has ward to, I believe, pay 7 life as well here. Um, so luckily, I've got a good bit of life to work with, but I don't know if I have the removal spell for it here. We'll see.
Some unblockable. And
Looks like a shoot the sheriff.
yeah, great little addition there. What kind of brought that?
Honestly, it just having it played against me a couple of times online, it's a better go for the throat in a format that has all of the construct tokens. It's there are a couple of warlocks and that kind of outlaws in modern, but for the most part, it hits just about everything. Just a better version of go for the throat.
Yeah, man, well, we're gonna scoop it up. Game one, Jarrod taking it here. So yeah, I'm gonna pop up your sideboard. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what we're thinking.
Yeah, for sure. Eldrazi, not one of the decks that was big on my radar. Don't expect to see that too frequently in this particular tournament series. So I'm really just looking for some minor upgrades at this point. Going to be getting rid of some Stern Scoldings, maybe a Fatal Push or two, and bringing in things like the Mystical Disputes, the Consigned to Memories. Consigned to Memory is pretty good against Eldrazi. Um, those are really what I'm aiming for to bring in, and also just trying not to overboard in this matchup. Gonna stick to my game plan of late landing an early threat and disrupting as best I can, and crossing my fingers, hoping to get a little bit lucky here.
Right, no, I agree. I think, yeah, in my mind, if this is me, I'm mostly just going to those consigned memories and trying to probably counter a K command, something of that manner, and trying to utilize that.
Yeah, for sure. That really is the only big value to bring in from this board.
Yeah,
Let's take a look at what Phil has to offer.
yep. Let's see what Phil's got going on here, and looks like
So
we've got the pretty classic, pretty classic board from.
for Karn. Um, yeah, a bunch of one-of fetchables off of Karn, and then the Stone Brain has some graveyard hate in a format that has recently had Faithless Looting unbanned. Seems like definitely something you want to stack up on there.
Yeah,
Um,
what do you feel like he's bringing in? Maybe an ensnaring bridge, or
yeah, I struggle with the Karn sideboard.
yeah,
It's
this is
tough to
tough.
know when you want to bring something in and when you just want to be able to fetch it up with Karn. Um,
Because you're not really playing from your graveyard all that much, and but you're not going crazy wide either.
right, yeah.
Nothing's
I could
triggering.
see
Yeah,
I could see bringing in the engineered explosives sort of as a way to slow me down in the early game that you don't want to have to wait to fetch Karn for,
yeah,
especially when you're already tapped out from getting it off of Karn. Um, and then maybe like Trinisphere is one that you leave in the board so that you can go get it. And all of my spells are pretty cheap. That tax affects me a lot more than it does Phil. Um, Worm Coil Engine is definitely probably one you want to leave in the board, um, so that you can go fetch it up on turn 4 and then hopefully slam it into play on turn 5 off a accelerant of some kind. And then that's a card that's going to be tough for me to get through.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Phil's going to make the right decision. He's been playing this archetype for a long time and very knowledgeable. So let's see what we got here. Looks like we're getting back to game 2.
For sure. Phill can heckle us later after he sees this and
Yeah, yeah,
tell us what a poor job we do of navigating current sideboards.
yeah. He's gonna be like, "You guys are a bunch of idiots," but we're here and in good fun and joy. And no, it was good to have
For sure.
it was good to have Phil around and have somebody else that knows the game really well and yeah, helped out definitely. So we appreciate him.
Okay. And it's another testament to the passion that comes from the Youngstown and Sharon area for Magic that they're making the trip down here, and we're getting more and more people from up there involved.
Yeah, definitely, and look to keep getting it more competitive. We've grown from 10 people to 12 people to this tournament. We had 14, so we were super close to that 18 to 20 and just had some people last second kind of back out, but we're looking towards the next one and hopefully continue to grow those numbers and get more competitive. So,
Yeah, definitely trending well, and I think these are the kinds of things that, as you continue to put them on with consistency, it becomes more and more attractive to people. Has a element of not elitism, but of almost uh, belonging to it.
right, and I think just having the social going on with people can be able to get together that haven't seen each other in a long time, and all the upgrades. The whole basement got the upgrade, so the play mat as you see here, brand new logo, everything's kind of upgraded, and yeah, now we just got to fix our camera situation, but we'll get there.
Yeah, for sure. You put a lot of work into this basement here to really make it a nice place to be hanging out. Not that it wasn't before, but that it is. It blows people's main living rooms out of the water now.
We'll be outgrowing it soon enough.
Yeah, we'll have to be renting out tournament centers here before too long.
Yeah, might as well call the convention center next.
Hmm.
All right, I think we got another ship. Is that one or two ships? I mean,
I think it's just one. Phil puts the die out in front to indicate the number of mulligans there. So
oh, what a good
I
man.
yeah, he's got the presence of mind to keep coverage in mind as he's going through all this, and I can't even remember to put the names on the right side of the life pad. So
Yeah, once again, we're pretty terrible hosts and tournament tournament hosts, but we're getting into it, so learning as we go.
that'll be our next step is hiring somebody to just run all this during the tournament.
That's what we need. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll see if somebody wants to come out and pay him in pizza.
Yep. I hassle Kenzie about it occasionally, but she's not about
No, yeah, I've tried to get the wife in too, but she just calls me a nerd.
it. It's fitting. Um, on that note, some pregame actions here from Phil. Taking a look at the top couple of his cards and selecting the best of them before shipping the rest.
I think they call that cheating.
It is a very interesting effect in a deck that, um, for some reason, a colorless deck has so much consistency to it. And then they go and print a card that inherently improves the consistency of that deck. It's a
Right.
interesting choice on Wizards' part.
Crazy ramp. But we're getting to peak here, so we see that Thought Knot Seer, so and we're taking it.
Yeah, I'm trying to recognize that must be a talisman of some kind on the far right. I couldn't quite tell what that was. Um, but yeah, I'm guessing that I took the only thing that was going to interact with me, and we'll both be off to our game plans unmolested so far.
Yep, so we got a little bit of ramp and not much going on. Seems like you probably kept a more reactive hand, I'm assuming, with not having any turn 2 here, or turn 1 Nethergoyth.
Plan I want to be doing in these matches with Eldrazi really just
Ooh,
able to punish me anytime I stumble here. Um, and that Chalice going to do a good job of that as well, as most of my interaction is in the 1 or 2 mana slot. Um, looks like I may have a response with the must have been a consigned to memory there to
Yep,
keep the rest of my hand unlocked.
yep. Great timing. Way to wait on that. I think just being patient was a great play there.
Yeah, I can't remember if I saw that in the Thoughtseize or
I don't
not
think we
there.
did. No, I think it was the whatever that exile one was, and the thought knot and that talisman, and then he must have top decked that. So huge.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if I have a 2 mana follow up here. If I was holding up that consigned to memory, if I was prioritizing holding that up as opposed to getting a threat down, that goes against my gut reaction now watching it back. But if that's how things played out, that might have been worth it. Getting a second read of the early revealer Eldrazi that
I see
I
that
don't remember the
Dothy in
name.
hand. A little bit of I see a blue card. Couldn't tell what it was, but
Dothy, notably one of the threats that I couldn't have cast right there without shocking in this overgrown tomb. I'm not quite sure what I'm holding up with 2 mana in this scenario, but
yeah, and that's what the Devourer of Destiny or whatever it is.
mhm.
And then okay, we got Dothy online.
Bit of a lopsided board. This Devourer is definitely going to start smashing in before too long for big chunks.
Oh
As
no.
yeah, another one comes down and sends Dothy packing.
Okay, well that just took a quick turn. Okay, and
Yeah,
we're
and that'll do
scooping.
it.
All right, well
Yeah,
that escalated quickly.
for sure. Dead on board on what was that, turn 5 or 6?
Yeah.
Not the fastest in modern, but through quite a
Now
bit of interaction.
I'm gonna pop back on your sideboard here. Do you feel like you're gonna make another change back in with now being on the play again, or kind of leaving it the same?
So I did notice. I think I made a last minute change right before shuffling up for that game. I think I brought in the Jace the Mind Sculptor. Just maybe thinking of a way to put a Eldrazi back into his hand, or to dig for more action of my own. But I think maybe that's for on the draw that's worthwhile. It might
Right,
have just been a mistake, but on the play, I just want to be linear and fast and try to get this game over with.
right, right. Okay. That was very quick, definitely. Did not see it going that way, but as you talked about, this, it has the mana and it can just top deck into anything and changes in an instant.
For sure. It's a formula that has proven to be successful throughout modern's history. If you remember back to Eldrazi Winter, where it was hard to play anything but Eldrazi, um, that's you know, probably the highlight of its career, but it's had plenty of more fair but powerful runs throughout the rest of modern's history. What we needed was Splinter Twin back in Eldrazi Winter to help keep it in check.
Yeah, yeah, yep. I thought you were gonna be whipping it out and just didn't. Just didn't.
Yeah. Oh, I lost plenty of tickets grinding Splinter Twin online. My first league with it, I think it was 4-1. I was feeling great, and then it was just burning money from that point forward.
Phill just being such a kind individual and once again helping out the commentary. So appreciate you.
Great that he has that presence of mind.
Yeah, yeah. Most of the time, people forgot to start the recording and switch things and add the game scoring. So maybe we just got to get better at adding in our additionals.
All right. Hopefully these sixes treat a little bit better here.
All right, but yeah, both going down to 6. Let's see. I see another Goyth in yours. Maybe a Dothy. Some mana. So yeah, it looks like you at least have some early threats.
Yeah, early threats backed up with one counter spell or removal is exactly what I'm looking for here. So having a threat on turn 1 and turn 2 while Phil's up to his ramp plan is exactly what I need. Phill, unfortunately, going back to 5 here, it looks like. Um, but his deck has the power that if he has the right hand here, it can really take off even minus a couple of resources. Being on the draw as well will help him to recoup from these mulligans.
All right, kind of peek in. Let's see. Looks like
He's thinking about keeping it.
Yeah. Okay, we're keeping. We're rolling. Start off. We're going Goif down. Okay.
Looks like it, and a Mishra's Bauble to follow.
We got Tarmogoyf Soul Brother out here, and
Yeah,
distant.
Nethergoyf has been an interesting card. It's definitely the escape on it definitely adds a whole new element that Tarmogoyf doesn't have, where it can be your late game engine on its own, but it just doesn't quite have the power of Tarmogoyf. You have to very much be conscious of how you're building your deck around it. I'm actually only on 2 or 3 of them in this list. I'm not on the full 4 for that reason. I didn't want to be too dependent on my graveyard.
Right.
Uh, but it's paying off with the lucky draw of having it in my opener here.
Yeah. Oh, we have all the mana all dressed up. Doesn't seem like Phil's got anywhere to go currently, so. And we're just gonna start to put some beats in here.
Yeah, Phill already having passed me in the mana race up to 4 as I crack my 3rd land here, and Dothy's coming down.
I was gonna say he's still beating you, even though hasn't really done damage, killing yourself out here.
Yep, at least in the game of mana counts. But once again, I held up mana on turn 2, and I'm prioritizing blue mana this turn. So, guessing there's a consigned memory in my hand here.
Be pretty
Phil's
well.
still Phil's still not having taken any game actions. I'm just beating him up while he's defenseless.
It's called bullying, but
That's what us blue black players do best.
I
Wait
think
until you're about. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I think we're gonna have to. I'm gonna new house rule. We're gonna ban the color blue just overall.
Yep. Knock Frank out of the tournament before he even gets started.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The audacity
looks
of
like
somebody to play blue.
looks like a dismember coming after Dothy here in the combat phase, and I'm doing some table clicking, doing some math, as and confirming that those Eldrazi lands can only pay for Eldrazi or colorless spells or whatever. They can't make 2 for the mystical dispute payment.
Right, and that was a huge 4 life drain, self drain. We do have
And
7
then
mana towards Eldrazi, so, but okay.
and Relic gonna do a good job of knocking this Nethergoyf back into check, um, but Phill definitely under the gun here at 7 life.
Not quite sure where to
Determine
put your
here,
swamp.
right? Yeah. How do you ever know where to put your lands? I'll go from now on. I'll go with the Patrick Chapin route of never letting them touch each other, or keep them spread out in case somebody plays Chaos Orb or whatever that card is.
All right, got okay. Basic force coming.
Taking my time with these land drops, thinking through all the permutations. Got
Yeah,
math equations floating in the sky around me.
and we got Froggy Boy down. So, okay, Relic Kraken.
And at least one reason to play that frog beforehand is if I want to get in with some damage with this Nethergoyf, if I'm going to be discarding, let's say, an extra land or something like that. And that looks, it's Dothy, which is I don't remember doing that. I remember the reason for doing it, but didn't remember discarding that big of a resource for it.
I was getting ready to say, if Phill has K command, might be able to string something together here.
Yeah, for sure. K command is exactly what he needs here to get back in this. Deal with one of these creatures. Looks like he's going after the frog. Um, Maybe thinking he can get stabilized here in the next turn or two and doesn't want me to have a source of card advantage sticking around. Um, and I'm also responding here with the Golgari charm to take out that Scion, keep him off some additional mana, and get in with this damage, as it's both growing the Goyf and it shrinks the Goyf and grows the Goyf by entering the graveyard, but more importantly, removes that blocker.
Right. Oh no.
Nothing but lands
Oh,
left.
oh, don't do
You
it to
hate
yourself, Phill.
you hate to see it, but my lucky streak holds out.
Hey, look, it's a game of luck sometimes, but great games, guys, and we will see you guys in the booth for round 3.